So we got a problem. You know those compressor inflation machines that are at every gas station? You know how they're broken like 90% of the time? Well, I kind of just met my wit's end with that. I recently had a flat tire on the van. I drove a 5-mile radius from my house. Every single gas station had a broken compressor. I ended up going to Big O to get it inflated. And here's the thing, the gas stations don't owe us anything, and I'm the type of guy that likes to look for solutions, not problems. So today, we're gonna be building ourselves a solution. We're gonna be building ourselves a handy dandy, compact, pretty affordable compressor cart.
Wow.
So that we don't have to rely on anybody else ever again to make sure that our tires are fully inflated on our vehicles, bicycles, motorcycles, heck, even balls and whatnot. We're gonna have a good time. Now, here's the other thing, great little advantage. I don't know if you've noticed, but gas prices kind of suck right now. And there are two very easy, very free ways that are proven ways to get better gas mileage. One, don't have a lead foot, so that's an easy one, right? And then two, have your tires at proper inflation. And when I say it makes a difference, we're talking like 2, 3, sometimes 4 miles per gallon, which is a lot in between fill-ups. Now I drive a lot, so that's why this is a handy dandy thing. But we've got some parts, we've got some scrap wood, and we're just gonna figure this thing out while we go. All right, so, funny story. So, Fort Wild's under construction, so I just have some tools with me. We're just gonna kind of make this work. And I also don't have a pen, but I do have my handy dandy compact. So we have a pen, no problem. All right, I think what we're gonna do here is go with an 18 by 18 base. And then I think we're gonna shoot some uprights off the base. So we're gonna do something kind of like this. This probably doesn't make a lot of sense to you right now, but it will shortly. This is another reason I really like to have notebooks, because I can make notes like this while I'm building stuff and just kind of do it on the fly. And the other great thing is, like, can't do this on an iPhone. So I'm helping my little brother with some demo work, and this is how he treated my extension cord. So I don't know if you've had a chance yet to watch the like first 7 tools video that we have here on the channel. If you haven't watched it, check it out. Let me know what you think. A lot of the tools we're going to use on this project are directly out of that video. So if you're kind of wondering about what tools I'm using or how I'm using them or why I'm using them, go watch that video. All right, we are making an 18 by 18 square. So, you know, 18 one direction, and then your 2x4s, if you don't already know, are actually 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. You know, that's the modern world for you. So we have 3 inches on the outside, so that means our inside cut's 15 inches. And that will give us a nice 18 by 18 square. So we're gonna pre-drill a couple holes, and here's the thing. I'm gonna glue this thing. I like to glue everything. There's lots of different philosophy on glue and wood and whatnot. I basically just glue everything because it just stays together better that way. All right, we got ourselves a little 18 by 18 box. Now I need to find some plywood to put on top of this thing. So like I said at the beginning, we're just using scraps just to keep the cost of the whole thing down. But you know, even the materials to build something like this really wouldn't cost all that much. All right, so on the job site, sometimes you'll hear people say things like, when they're not doing the best work, they'll be like, well, I can't see it from my house. And I'd never really liked that philosophy personally. But there is the reality of rough carpentry and finished carpentry. And what we're doing here is just, you know, an evening in the shop, hanging out together and trying to knock out a cart real quick. So we're just gonna kind of keep moving as quickly and as efficiently as we can. We're not building a piano, but, you know, take a little pride in your work. All right, yeah, I can be happy with that. So like I said at the beginning of this thing, I'm kind of the type of guy that looks for solutions, not problems. There's actually a quote that I really like that it's something along the lines of, I prayed to the gods to send me a swordsman, and the gods responded, look at your hands. I don't know, I just always have liked that quote because it's just like, you know, if you need something done, do it yourself. And between all the videos and stuff on YouTube, even if you're not very handy, you can learn quite a bit just by, you know, jumping on YouTube, looking stuff up and learning. All right, base fits, halfway there, probably quarter way there. All right, next I wanna get some uprights on this thing. I was kind of thinking of how to do the uprights on this. I think what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna put the uprights right to the top. We're just gonna do some angled screws in, some nice long angled grabbers. And then what we'll do is we'll do a little triangle support of plywood on the side. Again, just trying to use as little material as possible. This cart is only for the compressor. It's not taking a ton of torque. It's not taking a ton of weight. So I think that'll hold it just fine. So I almost cut that. This is my last 2x4 and chances are Home Depot's closed. So I was just triple checking my measurement. We're good to go. Measure twice, cut once. Okay, so at this point, we could put in some pocket holes and do some pocket screws. The reality of it is that I want this to really grab, and sometimes pocket screws just don't have the grab that I want. So we're just going to give ourselves a little pilot hole with the drill bit, and I've got these super long 3.5 inch just kind of deck grabber screws. So we're gonna glue it, we're gonna screw it, and then we're gonna put a sticker on the side, a triangle of wood to hold this together as well. Like I said, should do the job. Okay, so this scrap that I have is nowhere near level or plumb. So I'm just gonna kind of mark her, and we're gonna get it sidewards cut, and then we'll get a cut on the back here to clean it all up, make it square. Now the big thing is I don't want to put both of these ends on and let that just wobble. Now that's wobbling with the base, but there is quite a bit of wobble in this leg. If I don't support it now, it's for sure just gonna break off, or the screws will come loose or whatever, and it'll be more problem than it's worth. Okay, now you can see here that the bottom of this cut is not perfectly square. So like I said, we're just doing rough carpentry here, so we're just gonna make it work. So I'm gonna get it leveled up here, I'm gonna get level up on the bottom, which I know it is because my surface is flat, and then we're just gonna give her a mark. And this will get us happy enough for a happy little cart. Okay, there we go. Got ourselves a pretty plumb fitting, square fitting board. And I think what we'll probably do is just try to carbon copy that to the other scrap that I had, which is already kind of a triangle, which is nice. This one's a bit crooked too. I mean, that's the joy of working with scraps. You never quite know what you're gonna get. All right, before I cut that, I am gonna go ahead and support this because I don't like it wobbling around. All right, so our compressor is happy, our arms are happy, our 2x4s, I don't know how well this translates to you, but our 2x4, one of them was very warped. So that's okay, because we have a handle that I want to put on, and we have a mid piece for our hose. So we're going to be putting a mid piece on for our hose. That will help us straighten this out. Because my philosophy is, if you're going to take time to build something like this, I want it to be as versatile as possible. So we're gonna put this hose reel on there, and we're actually gonna put like a 100-foot cord on it as well. So it doesn't matter where your garage is, it doesn't matter where the thing is that you're pumping up. Chances are between the length of that hose and the length of the extension cord, you're gonna be able to pump up tires wherever. We're also gonna put a little caddy on here with some extra tools. Should be pretty cool when we're all done. But next step is try to straighten that out just a scotch, and we're gonna get the hanger on for our hose roller upper. So I took some measurements earlier based on the compressor and all that and put them in my handy dandy journal. If you don't have a journal, carry a journal, it's always helpful. Or at least have one in the shop. And I know that I want my 2x6 to go across right here at 26 inches center. So center the 2x6 at 26 inches. Now, like I pointed out, our 2x4s really aren't that straight. Specifically, I think this one is pretty dang crooked. So if I take my measurement from 26 inches up, let me show you here. So at 26 inches up, more or less, my measurement's gonna come out weird. That's sitting at like 14 3/8. On the other side, it's like 14 3/4. It's a mess, it's just a tangled mess. So what I want to do, because I want to straighten this out as I progressively build up, because we're just using scraps, is I want to take the measurement from down here. So my real measurement's gonna be 14 3/4, because I know that this is all plumbed up and squared. So if I do 14 3/4 here, it's gonna make me have to move this stuff around a little bit, screw some stuff in, straighten these out a bit. Now with how worked these are, we're not gonna get them perfectly straight. But again, we're just having fun building in the garage. This is gonna be an awesome cart when everything's said and done, even if it does just have a bit of a kink to it. All right, so we want it to be 14 we want it to be centered at 26. And I have a 2x6, and like I mentioned earlier, 2x4s are not actually 2 foot by 4 foot, and a 2x6, surprise, surprise, is not actually 2 inches by 6 inches. I might have said feet in there, but it's inches. 2 inches by 4 inches, 2 inches by 6 inches. So our 2x6 is actually 1.5 inches by 5.5 inches, which means that we're gonna go 2 3/4 on either side of our 26-inch mark, and that will give us the centered piece, top and bottom. So I did my offset measurements. I put my piece on tops and bottoms, and it was just a little off on either side. And then when I hugged it to one side or the other, it was like a 1/16 off. This particular 2x6 is not only not 2x6, it's also not 5.5. It's actually 5 7/16. So they're just slowly whittling away at that width. Beauty. Okay, we had to make a couple compromises on our middle piece here, but it did pull our pieces a little more in alignment. I think I'm gonna sink one more screw on this side. Let's see if I can pull that over a little more. We do have a handle that we're gonna be putting on, and a little cart that I'm gonna build in here somehow. I still don't know what that looks like, but you know, figure it out when we get there. But yeah, we'll be able to pull those a little more straight. They're gonna end up being still a little crooked, but you know, it was literally the only 2x4 I had. So I think we're doing all right. All right, next, I think we're gonna put the handle on. For the handle, we're just gonna go really easy dealing with our warped wood here, but it should be fine, it's warped at the top. So we're just gonna use this piece of conduit that I had laying around. I'm gonna get the old paddle bit and find a paddle bit that will get me through both sides. We'll get it about even, cut her off, and then we'll just sink a long screw all the way through, lock the handle in, and I got a little handle to pull our cart around with. I said that's man confetti right there. So our pipe would be happier with a 15/16. I don't have that, of course. I'm trying the 7/8 to make that work. I decided to make this project just a little more interesting. Made the wrong call on the 7/8 bit. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you a little trick here. If you've already put a paddle bit hole, you cannot take, I mean, you can try to, but paddle bits have this piece right here that are, it needs to sink into something. The center piece needs to sink. That's what centers the paddle bit and allows it to put the hole correctly. If you already have a hole that's made, you have nowhere for the paddle bit to lock in. So what you can do instead, if you know the hole radius and if you know your hole layout, is you can give yourself a piece of scrap wood over the existing hole and use a bigger size paddle bit, which is pretty cool. So we're gonna do that real quick since I made a bad bet. I'm from Las Vegas. I usually don't make bad bets, but this time the house won. Our 2x4 is a little crooked, but our hole trick worked. So the 1 inch got us in, and because this top one's a little crooked, we get a little bit of tension between the two sides, and got ourselves a handle there. So I don't want to do it on the sticker side, so I think I'll actually repipe that around the other way, but as you can see, it fits. And then because this is crooked, I'm gonna go ahead and take a grinder and just cut this in place so that it just looks a little bit nicer. The backside on this one feels good, and we'll cut this one to be crooked. It's like working on an old house. Sometimes you just build how crooked the house is. All right, now what is probably the most dangerous tool in any workshop, and that is the grinder. I hate grinders. I'm just gonna be honest about it. I feel like every time I've used one, I'm about to die. And funny enough, I'm here helping my brother with some demolition work. I left my gloves with him at the demolition work. So we're gonna be real careful, protect our ears, do a quick cut, and hopefully not go to the ER. So when you're messing with grinders, have more protective gear than I currently do. That's what we want. Now we're getting down to kind of the important bits. We got wheels that have to go on. I think those are gonna go dead last because it's just gonna make the cart move around while we're trying to get stuff on. I wanna tie the compressor in. Let me show you something kind of cool. So the bottom of the compressor has these rubber feet that are removable, which is really nice. So I'm gonna ditch the rubber because we don't need it. And we can actually mark holes on the compressor on the bottom of our plywood, and we can lock the compressor to our cart using the provided hardware, which is kind of neat. I got this compressor from Harbor Freight. I'll try to put links to all the stuff that I'm using in the description so you guys can go and get the same stuff if you want. If you're gonna buy a compressor at Harbor Freight, get the 2-year warranty. Always get the warranty at Harbor Freight. But anyways, so that'll be pretty cool. I wanna get this on because I need to know how it's going to fit, but once this is on, it's gonna be hard to turn the cart on its side. And then, let me show you, we've got a couple of accoutrements that we're gonna go with this, because, you know, if we're going to have a compressor at the house, it should do more than just air up tires. So we're gonna air up tires. We're also gonna have a way that we can clean up our work area, spray off stuff, whatever we wanna do. And then we're gonna put all the stuff on to be able to pump up basketballs and that type of stuff as well as, of course, just, you know, pump up tires, whatever tires you're gonna pump up. So I got this little organizer from Ace. We need to create some way for that to live on this thing as well. I'm trying to decide what to tackle first. What makes the most sense to tackle first? I think to be able to figure this out, this is gonna have to be mounted. Once this is mounted, I'm not gonna wanna be turning it on its side a whole bunch. So I think what we're gonna do is mark the feet for the compressor. We have some goodies for the compressor too. I'll show you guys what we're doing with that. Mark the feet for the compressor, drill the holes so that that's ready to lock on. Then we're gonna lock this thing on, and then we'll figure out how to get our accessories together. And then we're getting pretty dang close to a functioning compressor cart, solving problems instead of creating them. All right, I'm going to mark where the feet would have screwed in normally. That way we can use the existing hardware when we're ready to lock this on to do that. Now, one thing to consider here is our purge valve is really kind of like inconvenient. It's low, it's not easy to get to. It won't be easy to get to no matter how we place this thing, just because we're not gonna be able to tip this compressor at all. It's gonna be locked onto our cart, which is what we want. Now, the reason that you'd want to use a purge valve is, you know, if you're not using your compressor a lot, or if the temperature's changing a lot, if you're in a humid area, many reasons to not leave air in the compressor, because the compressor will build condensation and then you will start to rust out your tank. You'll ruin the compressor part of it. Just not good to leave air sitting in your compressor for a long period of time without purging it. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a little purge addition. I think I got this at Home Depot. It was like $5-6. Maybe it was a little more, but it wasn't very expensive. We're going to add this. So we're going to remove the existing purge valve off the bottom of this. Didn't know it was inside. We're going to screw in our new purge valve. There is a leg right at the purge hole here. Luckily, we can take our extension apart. So we're gonna take it apart right here at this junction. We'll screw the little 90 on, and then we'll screw this piece back on. We'll have to reseal it. I've got tape we can reseal it with, and should be in business. So I'm just going to get all the hose out of the road, and I think I can squeeze my drill in there, make it work. Plus, I kind of want to do that anyways to get my handle on, because I've got to get hardware pieces back here as well. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm working with kind of a limited set of tools, just been on the road for the last few weeks with the tools I had. I got my Knipex or Knipex. Tell me how to pronounce that correctly. This is because of you guys, I really love these. And my ratcheting Milwaukee screwdriver. Again, both of these were in that 7 tools video. Links are down in the description if you're interested in them. These might do it. Woohoo, yeah. So now we have this mounted, and this was an essential piece. The reel was an essential piece to kind of figure out where the electrical cord was gonna fit the best and where our little accessory box was gonna fit the best. So now I just need to do some figuring. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna mount this piece of 2x4 here with the plywood sandwiched on the back of it, like so. And then we can wrap our extension cord around this surface, and I think it will hold it, but I'm not positive. This cord is a mess. It's mostly untangled, and we're just going to do a quick wrap to see how she goes. So I've got over half the cord wound up on our little cord holder that we're gonna install, and I think it's gonna work beautifully. Now I can unscrew it, glue it all together, put it on for reals. All right, so it's starting to look like a compressor cart, pretty excited. Our power cord wrapper, upper roller, upper shelf is looking good. Now, what I really want to do next is I want to get this piece mounted on. It's going to hold like the ball inflation stuff. It's going to hold the pressure nozzle to spray things off in the shop or in the garage, in the car, wherever you're going to use it. But I want to hard mount this somewhere, which means I'm going to have to build a little shelf. So I kind of like the idea of building the shelf up here. You can access the tools from the front, which is probably where you want to access them from. It'll be out of the road when you roll up your power cord, and it should be out of the road rolling up your hose as well. Now, this doesn't have to be anything great, and I could mount it to either side so that we could get another one day maybe, or expand or whatever. But I think we're just gonna go really simple. So I was doing some figuring here, and I've got, I'm down to my last bits of scrap here in the shop, but that's just enough of a shelf that we can put that on with a couple 2x4s, just to cut 2x4s underneath. Screw that on like that, and then we'll be able to screw the bottom of our plastic onto that shelf there, and then we can put all of our extra tools in there that we won't be using on a regular basis. Sweet. All right. And then our box mounts right here. It's not in the road of us grabbing our handle. It's not in the road of us moving our electric cord. And it opens up pretty much all the way. Sweet. And I'm gonna go ahead and screw the box down. We don't need that. Actually, I don't have any of my cool stickers here, but This is a great candidate to put some cool stickers on. I don't think I care, actually. It's got a little bit of movement to it, but it doesn't feel too weak. I think I'm gonna try to roll with that and see what we get, because I really like being able to open that up the whole way and not have to think about it. So we're gonna go ahead and live with that and just see where it lands us. Okay, so we've got our box up top, which I think a little bit of use is gonna prove if that was a good place to mount that or not. However, I was trying to think of somewhere to put our gauge if we do remove everything. I like, with something like this, you want everything to be self-contained. You don't want to be chasing stuff down. You don't want stuff, oh, I left it over here, I left it over there. And so I was kind of looking at some options, and it was actually Jamie, who's behind the camera right now. He's like, dude, do you have an extra quick release? So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna mount this quick release underneath on this 2x4, and what that's gonna allow us to do is when our compressor arm is not in use, we're gonna be able to connect that in underneath, just like that. It'll hang, and then you'll be able to just quick release it, pull it out and use it. So pretty rad. I'm pretty excited. So we're gonna drill a hole, pop this up in the hole. From either side, I'll take a wood screw and just screw it into the sides here, and that will lock that nut into the hole.
Missed it by that much.
I was hoping for an easy solution here, but we're not gonna get that. Okay, so our clever little idea has turned into a bit of an odyssey, but I think we have it figured out. We've got a little hole started here on our fitting. If we go wrong, we've got a bunch of other sides that we can deal with. And then we've got this nice long metal self-tapper that also has a good kind of washed out, washered flathead to it. So we're gonna try to drive this through and then have it attached to our collar, suck everything up, and hopefully hold it tight. Yeah, it's gonna work good. It's gonna work good. We got wheels here that we're gonna mount, so the wheels will just mount up right underneath here, just like that. We'll use this 2x4 block on both sides, just so the wheels mount nicely. Sweet, wheels attached. All right, now we just need to get our little bumpers up front. I was able to find a couple more scraps of wood here, so we're just gonna go with 2 little teeth basically out front. Now, from flush to the top of the wheel it's like 4 inches and a 32nd basically. But again, we're not building a piano. And I wanna bias a little bit to the front because I don't want the cart to be wiggle wobbly, there it is, wiggle wobbly when you're not using it. So I'm gonna make the front 4 1/16, and we can always shave a little bit off if we need to. So I just want to point out the other little scraps 2x I found were too short, and this is how much extra 2x4 we have. So we really lucked out with the scraps laying around the shop here. All right, there we go. Look, we have a little cart. Okay, we're gonna get this compressor mounted and then figure out how to route all of our hoses, and then I think we're there. All right, so I was looking for a way, we've got our extension on and we're getting ready to mount our compressor officially, and I was looking for a way to kind of mount our bleeder valves. We're gonna have our bleeder valve come out the back, that way it doesn't blow in your face. You can still access it really easily, nothing should be in your road here, and I needed a way to hold it down, and I happen to have some of these conduit pieces, and so I just want to give a shout out to having a little bit extra. Everything that we've been able to build today is because I have a little bit extra. So when you go buy washers, buy 2 or 3 extra. They're like 10 cents. When you go buy screws, buy a handful more. And then you can get little organizers, and then when you're doing stuff like this, you're always gonna have something to help you get through the project. I like to split mine between hard screws that are for like metal, or like, yeah, metal, wood, stuff like that, and then like mechanical screws, so washers, nuts, and bolts, and things of that nature. Helps you find stuff faster. But anyways, if it wasn't for that stuff, we wouldn't have gotten halfway through this project. Boom. All right. That, I have to figure out what to do with that. All the hoses are connected. I'm gonna get the power cord on this thing, get it on the ground, and let's see how she does. I'm excited.
Start wrapping, Zach.
Start wrapping. Yo, I'm wrapping cord, I'm wrapping wire. I'm wrapping so much, I'm gonna start on fire. Yeah, I like that. Okay, clean that up a bit. Man, this is cool. Look at that. You can pull that in and out of the garage, no question. Rolls like a champ, sits up like a champ. All right, guys, that was a blast. Thank you so much for hanging out in the shop with me while we built ourselves a compressor cart. But we built more than that, right? Like, the whole idea with this is looking for solutions, not problems, right? Like I said at the beginning of this thing, it's not the gas station's job or their obligation or their social contract or whatever you want to call it to have compressors. Sure, it's nice. But, you know, we became a little more self-reliant here, which I really like. I'm still a little worried about this floppy dude up here, but I had it on the table while I was flipping it around working on this thing. Everything stayed closed, everything stayed in it. So I actually think it's gonna work out, even though it does feel maybe a little Mickey Mouse, but that's okay. That's what happens when you build stuff in the shop sometimes. And that's kind of what I want you guys to be able to take away from this. One, I really do hope that you guys will build your own version of this. You can even simplify it and get a moving dolly from like Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever you shop. But they were like 100, 120 bucks. And I was like, dude, I've got a bunch of wood laying around at the house or at the shop. So I knew I had wood, I knew I had screws, so I was like, I'll just build my own cart. And to be honest, it's just a little more custom this way, which I prefer. But the big thing is, I wanted you to be able to take away two things from this. And one is, I wanted you to take away just the idea of ownership, right? Like, owning and being more aware of your physical environment. It may not be building a compressor cart. It may be doing something more simple. It may be organizing something in your house. It may be building something. It may be changing the oil in your car, whatever it is, right? The other thing that I wanted to do with this is do something that was real life. When we're hanging out in the shop, this is real life. This is rough carpentry, right? Like sometimes on YouTube, you get lost in like the perfectly organized shop with all of the tools and the perfect materials and, you know, an edit that somebody probably took days to do. But, you know, you get things like how crooked the handle is up here. That's okay. It's rough carpentry. And that's real life. Like, this is exactly how I would build this, whether I was hanging out with you guys or not. This is how this cart would have turned out. And I'm really, really happy with it. So don't lose yourself for the conception of perfection. Don't give up doing something because it won't be perfect the first time you do it or how you do it or when you do it. Sometimes just doing the thing is worth it. And I'm really excited. We've got a compressor cart that will span 130 feet, which, you know, should cover any garage, backyard, whatever you want to do with it. And yeah, keep our vehicles running good, keep our things running great, and give us just a little more ownership, a little more responsibility, right, in our own day-to-day and in our own stuff. But anyways, I guess I'll stop waxing poetic or philosophical. Really happy with the compressor cart. It's gonna stay here at the shop, I think, working on motorcycles and the van and stuff here for a while until Fort Wild is ready. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you on the next one.